Okay, so once you have your scene pulled up in Maya, and you want to render it out, you want to make sure that your camera that you've animated, which in my case is camera 1, it's likely to be yours too, that when you scroll through it, everything looks how it should, right? So once that's there, we're going to drop down to the rendering tab on the left side, grab our render settings here, and that's going to bring up a window that should say Arnold Renderer. If it doesn't, you need to let me know. By default, the image format is EXR. We want to go to JPEG just to keep things simple for us. They take up a little bit less room. And then on the frame/animation extension, I want to go to name_pound, which the pound sign will be replaced by 4 numbers. So like frame 1 would be 0001. Okay, frame 2 being 0002. And frame 100, 0100. Yeah. Yeah, it gives you 4 whether you use it or not. Anyways, the frame range, we're going to just go ahead and match up with our last frame. So the last frame in my animation is 200. So I'm going to say 200 is my end frame there. Make sure your renderable camera is set to your animated camera. In my case, it's camera 1. Presets, I'm using HD 720. If your frames render fast, you can go bigger. We don't have infinite time to render these, so 720 is good enough for us. Under System, this is a tab inside this window. Our computers don't do so hot if you leave auto detect threads on. What they do is that runs all the CPU cores full throttle. These computers kind of choke because you can't do anything else. Okay, it's just all locked up in Maya. So I'm going to say -2 to deactivate 2 CPU cores. This will slow down rendering, but it also lets you, browse the web because we're going to be waiting for a while. After that, the last thing is edit, change, project, image directory. Okay, directory is a fancy word for folder. So the folder we want to save our images in, for you guys, it's going to be on the U drive. So you want to click the folder icon next to images. Okay, that's where your frames are going to go. The U drive, and you can create a new folder by clicking on this button up here and type in something like frames. Makes sense. I already had a frames folder, so I'm going to select that and accept it. Close this and choose render sequence. This is the part that actually launches the rendering process. So I want the first 2 checkboxes checked on here. And once I hit render sequence and close, or render sequence, either way, it's going to start rendering out my frames, okay? At this point, you may want to do something else because this is kind of like watching paint dry. We went ahead and set our last frame to be 200. It's unlikely that my computer, at least today, is going to make it through 200 frames. So if I need to stop, I need to hit the escape key on my keyboard. That stops the rendering process. I can close this out, close out, and log out if I need. Be aware that it's storing the frames in a folder, right? So it's saving all these. So I have 1, 2, 3 frames already because I rendered last class. So tomorrow, when you log back into here and you say, I want to render more frames, you don't want to start at 1 again. You'll never make any progress, right? In my case, I'd want to make sure that under my render settings, my frame range, my start frame reflects the last frame that's been saved as a picture. So if I click on this, there's frame 3, okay? So my start frame should be frame 4, right? I want to start rendering at frame 4 and go to 200. Does that make sense? Okay, so with all those settings, you're going to be rendering. It's going to take a while. Kick back and relax. This is a good part of being an animator. You get to wait for the render to complete, right?